the Rock and Roll Insurance Guy podcast with your host, Albert Munoz.
What's up, Hollywood?
The show starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, here we are with 610 marketing representative, Mr. Matthew Palmquist from the Saddle Up podcast. And here we are with the Rock and Roll Insurance Guy. Don't ask
What up?
Just call me. So anyway, 956-460-5431. Call Matt, call me, call us anytime. I'm 24/7. But anyway, the Rock and Roll Insurance Guy, we are ready and rolling. Mr. Palmquist, how are you, sir?
What's up, Hollywood? And I am 610, and actually 610. So I am the founder of 610 Marketing, and it's named after 6'10", not the 610 Loop in Houston. But yes, Matt Palmquist. What's up, Albert? How you doing, Hollywood?
I am blessed, my friend. I am blessed. I was talking to several individuals in the past 24 to 48 hours, and it's kind of weird how we have this 30-year cycle. You know, Dennis Rodman went to the Hall of Fame with the NWO. You turn on your YouTube channel, and if you follow wrestling, there's a lot of NWO podcasts and shows because it's the 30th anniversary of the NWO. And it's kind of crazy because that's the same time that you and I met in college. 30 years later, we're doing this. 30 years later, Rodman, NWO. And it's kind of crazy because you and I were the right age at the right time to fully understand what was going on with Dennis Rodman, the NWO, Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, Time Warner, and whatever other thing was going on with those companies. And from 96 to about 2000, 2001, wrestling was pretty cool. And I just followed it because I had already given up on wrestling. I wasn't watching wrestling anymore. And my sister, who's 8 years younger, said, "Hey, Hulk Hogan's on TV." I'm like, "What? I thought he was retired." So I go there and check it out. And Hulk Hogan went from this company to that company, you know, on the filming capacity, doing TV shows. And then all of a sudden he got the wrestling bug, got a new contract, you know, and he came in and did the New World Order with two guys, and they took over, established themselves as the top guys. So imagine that. For 10 years, you're number one. You reinvent the business by becoming a heel with a rival promotion, and then boom, you reinvigorate the industry. Yeah. And now 30 years later, people are still talking about it.
Well, you know? I'm glad you brought that up, but I have one question, right? So, you know, a lot of people have reached out to us, and they say, okay, hey, we like the show, but it's called Rock and Roll Insurance Guy, right? And so I think what the fans are really saying, Albert, is they want a little bit more rock and roll, you know, like they want a little bit more rock and roll. Oh, and he brings the guitar. Okay, so kind of like I know you have a passion for NWO and, you know, WWE and wrestling, but your real passion seems to be, besides UTRGV and UT Pan Am, and helping your clients, obviously, your real passion is music, right? That's why it's called the Rock and Roll Insurance Guy podcast, right? So
yes, sir. I am 50 years old. I'll be 51 this December. And since age 4 or 5, I've been surrounded by music. I got to blame the baby boomers, our parents, aunts, and uncles. They were born in the late 40s, 50s, and they grew up in the 60s and 70s. And that music was always around when I was around the older generation. We'd be driving down the road in my aunt's car, and she'd be listening to the oldies from the 50s and 60s. Back then, it was 50s and 60s. In the 90s,
were you on Jackson Road?
Yes. We were actually on Jackson Road. And many times with my aunt, my stepdad, aunts, uncles, cousins, the friends of the aunts, uncles, and cousins, all of them listening to the oldie station or the rock station. And then, like in the late 80s, early 90s, we had a change in the mainstream, and hip hop and country were really popular. Well, I was still doing rock and roll. And ever since I was 4, 5, 6 years old, I've just always liked rock and roll music.
I love
I've
it.
done the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and I really gravitate towards Van Halen. Van Halen is the reason that I play guitar. And, it's become an
Hey, can you
obsession.
play something for us right now?
I could. Let's see what we can do.
This is the first for the Rock and Roll Insurance Guy podcast.
So anyway,
Awesome.
you get the point. So I don't know. It's just one of those things where you always wake up, you hear music. Ooh, sometimes it's an original tune, sometimes it's a cover tune, and that song's in your head all day. The hardest part about having music in your head is actually putting it down on paper or tape, because some of these ideas don't stick in your head. Some of them do. 9 out of 10 times I hear a harmony, a melody, I'm trying to play it on guitar, and I'm thinking, wow, an original tune. I start playing it, and guess what? That song was already written by somebody else.
Oh.
So, the thing with music is that it's a part of me. It's an all-day, everyday thing. I really cannot function without it. I turn on my stereo, this, that, my car. I always have music on. And the music that really reaches out to me is rock and roll music, specifically Van Halen. And I've listened to everything from Little Richard to Elvis, Buddy Holly, the Box Tops, a lot of the British Invasion. I'm not too keen on the Beatles. I dig the Rolling Stones. I love Led Zeppelin and the Stones. Jimi Hendrix is pretty cool. And then in the 70s, I like a lot of Ambrosia, the soft rock singer-songwriter, James Taylor type of stuff. I really like that. And then in the 80s, boom, hard rock, heavy metal, Van Halen. And that's what I like. So
I have a story that I'll share with you at some point but I happen to have the honor and privilege and rest his soul now, he's passed on. But I was friends with Jim Morrison's brother-in-law from the Doors.
Oh.
Yes. His name was Alan Graham, and he is probably the most interesting man I've ever met in my life. And I say that with such pride and great honor, because the stories I have of Alan Graham are amazing. Rest his soul. I mean, he lived to about 82 years old. He was an amazing man. He lived in Coronado, California, just on the island off of San Diego. Just unreal individual. Had so many stories. He was in the British Army with King Charles, and he had pictures in his house of him and Prince Charles at the time. But yeah, crazy Alan Graham. Rest in peace.
Yeah. That's,
look him up.
That's an amazing story, man. We could do like a whole podcast on him. And just think of all the people that we meet that are very humble and modest, that have a beautiful story to tell. And they're super shy and conservative. And then look at me, some loud, obnoxious,
you're not obnoxious. What are you talking about? Come on, you're not
loud, obnoxious. Well, it's the reputation that I've earned. I was telling Mr. Mike Fargnoli about the time that I got in trouble as mascot. And I don't know if you remember the time, but I know if I tell you the story, you're going to remember the time, because you said, "Hey, Bucky, don't do that again." This is what happened. Okay, first of all, Bucky the Bronc let me go back. In high school, I was mascot, but I was part of the cheerleading organization. So I had to do everything that cheerleaders did. When I was mascot for Pan Am, I was part of the marketing department.
Okay.
You see? So when the cheerleaders and the drill team went to national competition, I stayed behind because I wasn't part of the drill team or the cheerleading squad.
This is when they went nationals, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They went to nationals and they became champs, and they came out on Channel 5 News. And you and I are still at the game. I'm not complaining, but this is what happened. We have 20, 30-second timeouts, minute timeout, 2-minute timeout, all kinds of timeouts, right?
Yeah.
Injury timeouts. So I have to go dance in place of the drill team, perform in place of the cheerleaders, throw T-shirts, throw basketballs, give away pizza, do my normal stuff, plus their stuff and the drill team stuff. Completely improvised. Nobody said, hey, you're going to fill in or you're going to do this. Completely improvised. Okay.
We got Bucky. He's going to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm running around doing this, doing that. And I think Miss Georgia Kovich and somebody else came with a big old box of antenna balls and little basketballs, all saying nice. UTPA. So I go out there like a stupid idiot and boom, I get hit and people are just taking it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to be. Okay, so the hallway comes out here. And then you come out, and this is the entire basketball court, right? Yep. I have to be over here close to where the cheerleaders would be, where you were. So instead of going like this, I went straight like that. But I had whatever I could keep from the basketballs and antenna balls, and I put them up in my jersey, down my shorts, under my arms, and I'm running because the kids and the old people are chasing me. They think it's part of the show. So I'm running to get away from them so I can be in position to give a contest winner their pizza, a couple of T-shirts, basketballs, and whatever. And then I got to go do my routine. That was the thing. However, because I put the balls up my shirt, down my pants, everywhere, it looked like I was a woman. So 2 people said,
transitioned.
Yes. And so they're like, Bucky, what are you doing? That's offensive. And I go, what is offensive? What are you doing? What are you talking about? And said, you put the basketballs under your jersey, so now it looks like you're a female horse. And I said, I didn't do that to offend anybody or to get in trouble. I was just doing that so I could run without being robbed of the basketballs. You know? So that's what I did. And so after the game, I think he goes, hey, Bucky, don't do that again, man. That caused a stir. I'm like, yes, I know. I already heard from Uchek and Georgia and Charlie and not Charlie, but somebody else. It was right next to the guy from B104. What's his name? How can
Tony
I forget?
Farina.
Yes. Right next to Mr. Farina was somebody else that was an admin. And then somebody else complained in the audience. And then there was one guy that was on my side, and you're not going to remember his name. Maybe you do, but he always wore cowboy boots and a suit with a white shirt, had silver hair and a beard, and he always sat next to the goal. Do you remember him?
Mr. Von Indy? Ted Von
Indy? Yes. He was the only one that said, Bucky, you didn't do anything wrong. Ignore him. I'm like, yeah, but I got to go into the meeting with all those people. So I walk in, and unfortunately, it was just you checking and goes, hey, Bucky, can we talk? And I go, yes, sir. Hey, man, you do a great job, but you really screwed up tonight. I said, yes, I know. And I explained to him why I put the basketballs and everything that I could get up my jersey and down my pants, because I needed to get over there and give that section the antenna balls and everything and T-shirts.
You had a reasonable, plausible explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the next timeout, I would do this quarter. And then after halftime, we do those 2 quarters. And then we do the ones by the goals. So that was the way we kind of figured it out based on how the audience is reacting. So I got in trouble that day, and I was remembering that today because he tells me, hey, dude, you need to loosen up. You're too tight. You're an improvisational speaker, loosen up. And I said, well, you know what? Let me explain to you my concern and why I feel like I'm overthinking this. Mm-hmm. Because there's something called boundaries and limitations. That story that I gave you right now is a perfect example of how I get into trouble without trying. So that's what we want to avoid here. You know, we just want to tell the truth, help people, and, you know, we can make them laugh and feel good with a story about basketball or guitars or rock and roll.
Yeah.
And mind you, speaking of rock and roll, every time that I would come out, this is why I always reference to professional wrestling, because professional wrestlers and certain athletic teams come out to an entrance theme.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. So I would pick a song and it was always a Van Halen song. So people know, hey, Bucky the Bronc is coming. And then all of a sudden, like I said, we have the cheerleaders and the drill team not here. I have to perform to their songs, and I'm over there drinking a juice or water with Nelson Olveda. Remember him? He says, hey, mascot, you look tired. Come drink some juice. Vitamin C is good for the body. And I'm there chugging the vitamin C orange juice. So I don't cramp up because you know what? If I'm not mistaken, we had the men's basketball or women's, then men's. And then I think we had like a preseason baseball game. So I was doing like a double header, triple header. Ooh. So I was already sweating, cramping up here and there. And Nelson Oleda was huge on vitamin C. He would make me or advise me to eat an orange or two and then drink some orange juice. And, you know, I remember that vividly that night. So back to the entrance music and all of that. That's what we were going for. And one time I was waiting to hear my music and some other song came out. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go and run out. And it was that song by Lou Bega because we played the same 5 songs. It was Carlos Santana, Smooth. Remember they would play that at every basketball game?
Yeah.
A little bit of Monica, whatever, that one. And then
that's Mambo number 5.
The guy that was hooking up with J-Lo, Mark Anthony, he had a hit song in that semester too. So they would play the same 5 or 6 songs every pregame, every postgame, timeouts and everything, and you would hear the same thing. So when you would hear a Van Halen song, oh, here comes Bucky the Bronc, did my thing, come back in, and then you hear one of the songs that I mentioned, and it's like, oh, I gotta go back out. It was complete chaos, complete fun, and I would do it all over again. And
how old were you when you were the mascot?
Well, let me say this. I was an entering freshman at age 21. And then 4 years later, I was 25? And I was mascot for Pan Am for 2 semesters.
Okay.
And it was like, wow, because the cardio is not the way it was 7, 8 years before.
Yeah.
You know, when you're an athlete, the most important tool is cardio.
Oh, yeah.
And cardio is different for everybody. You think you're in shape, and I'm not saying you, I'm not challenging you, but people that think they're in shape, try playing another sport. All the people that think, oh, I'm a badass dude because I can play football. Okay, dude, go play basketball. That's cardio. And then for the guys that say, oh, I played 4, like, okay, go play tennis. You're chasing the ball by yourself.
Yeah.
So I've played basketball, I've played tennis, I've done running, I've done everything. I'm just not a good athlete.
And it's mental too. Like once your body starts to get tired and your muscles get sore, then your brain starts to like shut down too. Like, so it's more also cardio it helps with like mental sharpness, right? Like I'm sure from what you've shared with me off camera, you pull on a regular day, you're pulling, 10, 12-hour days, right? And you've got to be sharp for your clients, right? And so I couldn't do that because my cardio and my stamina is not built for the way you are built and your processes. Does that make sense? Like you kill it, and you're exactly right. Your stamina for a tennis player is totally different if you were to get on a basketball court, right. And you could, and it's funny is Jim Lancaster, the trainer back in the day, he had the sign on the deal.
I love him.
Yeah. It was like, if you're an athlete, and I'm butchering the quote, but it's basically, it's easier to stay in shape than get out of shape and get back into it. Right. And so
that was when you walk in on the left side, there was a little column and it said, it's better to stay in shape than try to get back in it. Something to that effect. And
something like that.
And I'm like, that is straight up truth, because when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I could run and run and run, but you take it for granted that you're young and healthy. So when I got back into the mascot thing 4 or 5 years later, I had to get back into shape really quickly. And I don't know if you remember, but I was out there stretching. A day after I got hired by Miss Jojakovic, I was doing the hurdler stretch, everything that we did in track, cross-country field, because it's all lower body with cardio. Your arms are doing this, because
Yeah,
you
and
have to
here's the other
communicate.
thing too, like with basketball players, is like they can put us on the track and we can run sprints all day, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but it's different
or
chasing a
but
ball.
it's different when you're in the middle of the game and you're having to go full speed and you're getting body checked by a guy that's maybe your size or a little bit bigger or stronger, and then you're having to play help side, so now you're like having to jump and hedge and show, and so you're doing so much more physical activity that's lateral movement than just north and south. Does that make sense? So your
Yes,
point
sir. It
is
makes
very
complete
valid.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense because the reason I'm not good at basketball is because I'm an outside guy. I can do 3-pointers, I can do a layup if no one's guarding me, and I can do a 2-pointer here and there. But once you have 2 or 3 guys all over me, I'm like, oh shit, I turn into football. I'm like knocking the crap out of everybody because I'm a football guy and a baseball guy. Basketball to me, it's more finesse if I'm on the outside. But if I'm playing defense or if I'm on the inside, man, forget about it. I'm going to get fouled. I'm going to be hitting people. People are hitting me. And the worst part is, I'm not very big compared to you. I'm only 6'2". But when you come up against somebody that's 5'8", 5'9", and they're doing the elbow in your rib cage and they're helping you here and
Yeah.
you're getting,
Yeah.
it's a lot harder for me to face somebody smaller than somebody bigger for
Yeah.
me. Because like when
Yeah.
you're boxing or whatever and somebody's smaller than you, it's like chasing a top or a little Tasmanian devil. When
Like that,
somebody's bigger than
Like
you,
Rocky when he was when he had
yeah,
to chase the chicken, you know? So yeah,
yeah,
when Mitch had him chasing the
exactly the
chicken.
same thing. And
Yeah.
your cardio is different depending on, well, I think, in my opinion, because I played basketball at Pan Am one-on-one with one of the girls. She was the center, and she challenged me. She goes, hey, Bucky, you seem like you could throw a ball. I'm like, I'm not that good. If somebody's covering me, I'm no good. I'm only good 3-pointers and layups when no one's guarding me. She goes, well, let's do some little one-on-one. And we were doing one-on-one, and it was the tall girl. She was the tallest one. Everybody from the female basketball team was either from Canada, 2 girls from Houston and 1 girl from San Antonio. And it was Alexandra Gravel, Sheila Mae Townsend, oh my God, Alexis, anyway, Radija Sinet. Those are the girls that I would talk to. And their guard, their center says, hey, let's do this. So we were doing that whole one-on-one thing. And I noticed that when you're moving from here to here, it's not that much. But when somebody throws a ball and you got to end up on the other court, that's a different kind of cardio. Because now you got to run all the way over there, stop, throw the ball back over here, and then come back.
Yeah.
But when you're doing back and forth tennis, left, right, you kind of have a rhythm because it's just you and the ball. You kind of have an idea where the ball's going to go. But when you're playing basketball, it's 5 dudes here, 5 dudes there, and it's run amok, especially in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So that's very overwhelming and frustrating for me as a basketball player. That's why I was never good at basketball. Baseball, I was okay. Football, I was okay. But I'm not an athlete per se. What I like to do is exercise and play and work out, but I'm not really good at any one
But
particular sport.
it's funny that you say that because your passion is music, right? And you can strum a guitar and you can you can play an hour set, right? That's stamina too. Like the callousness on your fingers and the muscles in your hands to be able to do that for an hour and keep that focus of, okay, I've got these chords that I need to play consistently, concisely, and in tune and on beat, right?
Yeah.
Like that's cardio as well, right? Because you have to build that stamina to do the strumming and playing the guitar. So, it's I wouldn't say the musician is an athlete, but there's definitely things that musicians do
Right.
that are
Conditioning.
overlooked. Yes, that there is conditioning. Yeah.
And I got to say, yes, that it's a lot of it is your ear. A lot of it is patience and repetition. A lot of people say, why are you so good at a certain particular thing? And I said, because a lot of people just want to show off. they'll do 10,000 moves one time. I'll do one move 10,000 times. And I warm up on that guitar, the black acoustic one. Then I go to the nylon acoustic, and then I go to the Strat, and then from there I go to a standard rock and roll guitar.
And how often do you practice?
Every day.
Okay. So those four guitars every day at some point.
I warm up for about an hour and a half. I do chords. Then I do like a certain little ditty that I came up with that has no name. Then I do my 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up, all the way down, up the neck, down the neck. Then I do different finger patterns. Then I do stretches, and then I incorporate both hands. I go through standard traditional acoustic music to flamenco to a little bit of jazz to blues, and then I pick up my rock and roll guitar and I play rock and roll music. So I'm warming up both hands. And I'll show you what I mean. See, this is a nylon and acoustic guitar.
Okay.
And you can play the A minor and then the E. But with this hand, you can do this. See what I did? I went from rasgueado to picado to picking to strumming. 3 different techniques on one guitar. I'm not a Spanish flamenco guitarist. I just bought it because I wanted to learn that style because Eddie Van Halen plays that style. Eddie Van Halen plays classical, blues, jazz, this, and this and that. So I have one guitar in each style, and I try to incorporate it just so I could have a bigger vocabulary and be able to improvise more. Because I never set out to be the best or be this or be that. I just wanted to be the best that I could because I've had an obsession with the guitar since age 4 or 5 when I discovered music. And I was on my way to being an athlete, but something happens when you lose a parent, hence life insurance, right? So when my father passed away, I think that kind of made me just dive into music more and less sports because I had no one to play for.
That makes perfect sense.
So I went from being an above average athlete with an incredible heart and desire to play well to like, I don't see the point anymore. My Dallas Cowboy history literally ends in 1986. Game week 2, 3, 4, somewhere around there, right around the time that my father passed. So my Dallas Cowboys are from 1975 to 1985. And I wanted to be like Tony Dorsett, Hollywood Henderson. I was a pretty good wide receiver sometimes. I could carry the ball as a tailback. I was never consistent. But most of my damage was done when I was playing defense as a middle linebacker or a defensive back. I was always at the right place at the right time to intercept the ball.
Nice, Albert.
One or two games, I would get 1 or 2 interceptions. But elementary, junior high, Pop Warner, that you start to develop there. But I was pulled out, and my mom was like, no, I don't think you're going to do that well. You're always changing your mind. I'm like, Mom, I like the same 2, 3 things that I like now. And it's the same 2, 3 things that I like now.
I love
Football, baseball, wrestling, Dallas Cowboys, the Celtics, and Van Halen. You know?
Well,
so I'm still a kid, but I'm a 50-year-old kid. I'm reliving in a manner of speaking, I'm kind of reliving my childhood. I think maybe that's why I have arrested development. That's what Mr. Fargnoli tells me. Albert, it's not 1980 anymore. You drive a 1980 car, a 1990 car. You're still in high school. You're still in college. And it makes perfect sense psychologically. That was the happiest time of my life. Why would I want to change that?
I get it. Well, speaking of change, the episode is coming to an end. Right. And so we're going to have to change over to episode 4 next week. Right. But I think this episode has been amazing in the sense that we've learned so much about you. And I think that who you are as a person, regardless if you're a fan or of nostalgia or, whatever, I think you, Albert Hollywood Munoz, are an amazing person and a contributor to the community. and you keep doing God's work. And I can't be more happy to be on this podcast with you now.
Thank you, Matthew. That's very humbling because you and I have a unique history.
Yeah.
We met our freshman year, a freshman orientation. You were sitting right in front of me. And then 4 years later, we bump into each other on the basketball court, and we cross paths in communication hall or business hall. And we have mutual friends, mutual acquaintances. We have similarities. And me being the mascot in UTPA came from being the mascot in PSJA. And it took me to be the mascot to the Edinburgh Roadrunners. So I am blessed. Those 10 years that I was mascot for those three organizations, I was honored, I was blessed, and I got to meet you. And through casual conversation, you tell me that your father is also a PSJA Bear. So not only are we brothers once through UTPA or PSJA, but, in many ways. And I'm honored to call you a friend and to still have you as my friend all these years because, man, 30 years can go by really quickly. But if you're unhappy, it's a very long time. And I'm just happy to be here and to see that you're doing well and that you're still here with us because you know what? In COVID and life in general, things happen. And I just want to tell you, thank you, Matthew. God bless you, my friend. Between you and Mr. Fargnoli, we don't know where the rock and roll insurance guy would be without you. Thank you,
well, Matthew. I appreciate that. Yeah. And tune in next week, guys, when we got another great episode. Take it away, Albert.
Yes, sir. Don't ask why. Call the rock and roll insurance guy. 1-956-5431.